Ladies and gentlemen, this is breaking news. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Times Union, Newsweek, New York Post, Federal Bureau of Investigation opens formal investigation, criminal probe of Attorney General Letitia James. This is huge. Hit subscribe. An arrest, well, let's see. An indictment, an arrest, the criminal investigation right now, formal criminal probe has begun. The Federal Housing Finance Agency referred the New York State Attorney General to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. Why? Because they have the documents. The documents apparently or allegedly state that Letitia James lied about a family member being her husband, and you'll hear the legal analysis in a second, lied about the number of units in a property she owned in New York, which would have made the property a commercial property, more taxes, higher taxes. She would have made AOC very proud paying higher taxes, but apparently she wanted to potentially lie about the number of units to ensure it wasn't a commercial property, and potentially made false claims about her residence. She claimed on forms to have lived in Virginia, but she was supposed to, as Attorney General, live in New York. Hit subscribe to the channel. This is huge. Everybody that goes after Trump has their lives upended. Everybody who tries to destroy Trump has had their political careers, their Hollywood careers, has had their lives upended. Hit subscribe. Check this out.
Ever seen in American politics that she's now, it looks like she's engaged in the same thing she charged President Trump with. I mean, turns out you can't have your principal residence in Virginia and be the Attorney General of New York. Turns out you can't on a mortgage form say that your dad is actually your husband, and you also can't say that you got a 4-unit property that's actually 5 units. Those are the 3 things that it looks like she did over a long period of time, and yet she had the gall to go after President Trump. You got to be kidding me. So, yeah, I think this is real. We'll see. Her comments so far, she's been kind of quiet. Of course, she does a typical thing the left always does. The left will you know, they'll always accuse us of what they're doing. And the other thing they always do, the left will tell a lie. Trump did something wrong. Big media will report it. Big tech will amplify it. And then if you tell the truth, they call you names. And that's exactly what she did. I think she called President Trump and his administration bullies for simply pointing out that it looks like she lied on these forms, and she did it to get better terms and a better rate on the loans. So she was doing it for personal gain, and you're not supposed to do those kind of things.
So, an indictment, an arrest, and an indictment, arrest, prosecution, and conviction are almost certain, ladies and gentlemen. They're imminent. Listen to why.
And one of these sections, Section 1014 of the federal code, is prosecuted. It took me about 60 seconds of a search to find cases that the Department of Justice brought against people who falsely claimed that property was their principal residence in order to get loans. So this is well-tread areas for the Justice Department. As for James, if we apply the Letitia James standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward. What the administration is saying is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence. But also, they claim that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So there's a lot of those questions. And as you know, the Supreme Court just stated earlier in March in a case called Thompson that they want to see knowing false statements under sections like 1014, not just misleading statements.
If you're the Attorney General of New York, you are one of the most respected legal scholars as the Attorney General in New York, and you're going after President Trump for the same type of lying about your net worth, or lying on documents, trying to deceive banks and lenders. Okay, do you think that Deutsche Bank is going to defend Letitia James like they did President Trump? Do you think the lenders that were potentially deceived by Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, what more proof do you need that that falsifying or lying on documents was intentional when the Attorney General does it? If it's just a average citizen, a regular citizen, that's a different story. You can say, hey, you know what? Didn't understand the forms. I was lied to. You're the Attorney General of New York, and you're trying to prosecute Trump on the same things that you got caught, doing. So the interesting thing is the Federal Housing Finance Agency, it wasn't like a watchdog group. It wasn't like, a conservative group going after Letitia James. This is a government agency, that looked at the documents and said, okay, this is pretty straightforward. This is a lie, that's a lie, this is a lie, or this is not true, that's not true, this is not true. So this isn't like rocket science here. Let's continue.
These are misleading statements. Either it's your principal residence or it's not.
Or it's not.
Either you're married to your father or he's your father. So they can this can satisfy the Thompson standard.
Yeah, well, Jonathan, we reached out to the DOJ, and they have no comment on this referral. We also reached out to Attorney General James, who did not respond to us either. So, again, everyone wants the best interest rate you can get. I understand that. But, she's a lawyer. She knows that when you sign a mortgage application, that mortgage application, if you're borrowing money, if you're not borrowing money, nobody cares whether it's your principal residence, except, where you file your taxes. But she decided to state that was her principal residence, knowing it was not her principal residence. I didn't even know she had property. I mean, I guess she had property in Virginia and she has rental or investment property in New York. That's fine. But in the New York matter, to get the favorable rate, the building could only have 4 units. But it looks like the entirety of this building, it had 5 units, meaning it was in violation of the actual loan agreement. And again, this is not a novel application of the law.
The reason that Letitia James potentially did this is because she didn't want to pay taxes. The Democrats love AOC and all the, morally superior, highly educated progressives and liberal Democrats, and they love taxes, to tax the rich. They don't, the same thing with firearms, they're the biggest hypocrites on the planet. $30,000 for security details for Congress people. They don't believe in their alleged value system. Democrats do not want to pay high taxes on properties. That's what you see. Almost certainly what Letitia James did. Why do you think her primary residence was in Virginia? Why do you think that potentially she lied about the number of units so she would circumvent it being a commercial property? Because she didn't want to pay taxes. She didn't want to pay higher insurance, higher rental or homeowner's insurance, and of course she didn't want to pay taxes, higher property taxes in New York. There's lower property taxes and the lower insurance rates in Virginia. That's good business. But guess what? You're a Democrat in New York. You're supposed to not do these things, and you're supposed to not deceive lenders, which is exactly what you accuse Trump of doing. So let's continue.
Jonathan, as you stated during the persecution of Donald Trump, she was using all these novel applications of law to go after him. This isn't novel. This is a black and white issue. You either did or you didn't.
Right, and this has been prosecuted in the past. Now, we have not heard her side of this, but these documents themselves are quite damning. It's hard to see how the residences listed were her principal residence. The business about her father is just bizarre. Now, I'll note that one of the things that Letitia James stressed in her case against Trump is that Trump had to review documents that were filed in his name. And so she dismissed the argument that this was something that Trump's people.
When lives depend.
So what took place, ladies and gentlemen, is that Deutsche Bank defended Trump. You see these 1 million to 4 million sub liberal channels. They simply lied to their audience about almost everything for 8 years. Trump is a two-term president. We had Biden, we went back to Trump, thank God, and he won the popular vote, because of this type of scandal, Democratic Party scandal. Hit subscribe. An arrest is almost certainly imminent.